to our SR pilot topic in 2025? So yes or no is the question. Okay, so far majority of no. That might be that you're interested in future topics for next web programs. Okay, so I think this is a good overview. And the third question is, in case you are interested, what is your topic of interest? So there were little people that did apply, but you can still tick the topic where you have applied for. Destination 1, destination 4, 2. Okay, good. So destination 1, climate science interest. Very good. So thank you for this introduction. We still see destination 1 is winning, and then we have destination 4, buildings. So you might be preparing the proposal for February for this destination 4. So thanks a lot for that. So now we start with the slides in the presentation, and I would like to remind what is societal readiness about. So you might be aware in the instructions there is the full definition of societal readiness, but here it's just to bring a bit of clarification on the societal readiness. What we are talking about is rather the readiness of the research and innovation practice, and not technically the readiness of societies. So this is something that needs to be clearly understood from the start. What we intend to do here is forcing the RNA processes that facilitate an inclusive and society-focused approach. This means that all RNA actors are supported, not only the SSH experts, to do socially relevant and engaging RNA. So this is really a collaborative work where STEM and SSH actors have the same understanding of challenges at stake and go in the same direction, RNA direction. So this requires rethinking mindsets, processes, practices, and outcomes so that the project results are most relevant to societal challenges. So here we're not talking about acceptance, which looks like looking at things from at the end of the process, as we need to understand that societal readiness is deeply connected to the design and implementation of RNI. It requires to generate better understandings and a reflection that considers comprehensively all societally related side aspects in the development of a given solution, and not just investing in technologies that meet with societal resistance at later stage of commercialization. So this is absolutely compatible with different technological maturities, but then we will adapt the type of interactions and questions, of course. It's not either a rating of solutions. We're not using the word level. We're not talking about societal readiness level because it's impossible to ask a given group of people to increase the societal readiness of a solution at global scale. There are too many nonlinear parameters here. So to achieve this societal readiness of RNA results, we need social and cultural perspectives. They need to be included in the project. That's where social science and humanities disciplines enter into play. So they will be key to achieve that. And the expertise, the SSH expertise in that case, in the case of those SR pilot topics, focus on the societal readiness goals. Just on the practical side, in the work program 2025, we have 8 social readiness pilot topics. They are integrated in thematic topics. You might already be very familiar with those. They of course include the SSH flag, and they are spread across the different destinations. Most of the majority of the topics have a deadline already now in September, at the exception of destination 4, which deadline is February 26th. And we aim at more or less 18 projects to be funded through the SRL Pilots. In addition to that, there is coordinating and support action to monitor and evaluate the pilots. So this, I will talk about this later. This is under destination 2 trustworthy issues, and the deadline is January 2026. On the application form, this is the application form is unchanged. There is one exception. This is the possibility, the extra 2 pages with respect to the standard page limit to accommodate the integration of SR in the proposal. It should be clear that it's not a separate section. They are part that should be integrated in the whole structure and the whole project narrative. The approach should be described in the methodology part in the section excellence, where the references to SSH activities are in the standard application form. So those references to SSH in that case remain valid, but they should aim at achieving social readiness goals. The instructions, they are located in the main introduction of the Cluster 5 work program 2025. They include implementation requirements, a list of guiding questions that follow responsible research and innovation processes, as well as information on the evaluation aspects. And the last part is about definitions of social readiness, social science and humanities, and responsible research and innovation. The main axes of the pilot are the following. Those are interdisciplinarity, our project partners, flexibility, RI methodology, and monitoring and evaluation. So I will go through those axes in the next slide very quickly. So interdisciplinarity is a cornerstone of the social readiness approach here. We aim at making STEM and SSH actors work together within the consortium, but also with the external actors, social actors. So you see a definition on the top. I will let you read that maybe later. And then the bullet points describe the added value of an interdisciplinary work as it brings together capabilities from diverse perspectives that fosters creativity and common understanding of the challenges at stake. It allows as well for more comprehensive problem solving by combining expertise from different fields, encourages collaboration, often leads to new ideas and solutions that wouldn't arise from a single discipline alone. It enhances adaptability, making it especially valuable in tackling multi-faced real-world problems from various angles. So the consortium needs to find a way to implement concrete interdisciplinary practices. As regards the partners, we need to integrate profiles that can address social readiness issues. This means that those profiles should have experience in addressing social and cultural perspectives, with experience, for instance, in designing and leading co-creation, facilitating inclusion, supporting consideration and responsiveness to social needs and concerns. And those social actors in the consortium need to be integrated from the very beginning to enable the appropriate design of project objectives, the methodology and the tasks that are compatible with social readiness, since the SR is really integrated in the narrative. It's not possible to bring in the societal partners at the end. It's not an add-on in that case. So this wouldn't work. As regards other partners, which are the STEM profiles, rather, they should be involved by meaningfully and actively collaborating towards activities across all stages of project life cycle. So depending on configurations and project types, the partners bring their experience and background, so the contributions might be of different nature, but they should be valorized on the same way. And all partners share responsibility for the SR activities. The methodology we propose is based on responsible research and innovation processes that include the dimensions of reflection, inclusion, anticipation, and responsiveness. For that, we propose a set of guiding questions that are along those dimensions and the categories listed on the right, such as RNI goals, social actors, benefits and burdens, and objection and concerns. So those 4 dimensions support co-creation with societal actors in different ways and offer a set of procedural interventions in policymakers and researchers' activities. So those guiding questions, they are a starting point for reflection. It is possible to address other questions that relate to the ROI dimensions and categories, depending on the specificity of your project. There is also good leeway to be flexible as well in your projects. As I said, the guiding questions are the starting point for your reflection, for comprehensive consideration of all socially related side aspects in the development of the problem solution. So in that case, this means that partners are free to choose in which way SR is integrated in the proposal and in the project, and which social actors to engage with. There are indeed dozens of methods for engaged research, which span dialogue, consultation, collaboration, involvement, empowerment, or direct decision-making. So the tools are there. You just need to identify what is appropriate for your activities. The Commission also does not prescribe any specific pathway. We start from the point that the expertise lies within the consortium. There are, of course, capabilities from various perspectives and background. They can be put together to come up with a common understanding of the challenges at stake. And finally, the flexible approach is intended to encourage creative options. There is no one-size-fits-all across the variety of close to 5 thematic areas, technological maturities, and project type. So this is how you can deal with this RRI questions. You can be original in that case, but you need to stick to the horizontal instructions. They are common to all SR pilot projects. They need to be entirely fulfilled because they provide a benchmarking for the Commission for looking at the assessing the outcomes and monitoring the pilot. Talking about monitoring, here's information on the monitoring and evaluation action, the CSA, which is aimed at looking at how the pilot goes and provide insights for improvement. That will start in January 2026. There is twofold. On one hand, it aims at learning from the pilot's implementation to improve the future SR topics by analyzing the way SR is addressed and integrated in pilot projects and supporting the designing of efficient, clear, and impactful way of applying the SR approach in future EU-friendly projects. So this very first pilot is an open door to see how we can progress and where we can progress. And so we aim at doing iterations in the future so that the possible, let's say, improvements can be integrated. In addition to that, the CSA includes some other activities such as annual workshops together the SR pilot project partners so that they can physically meet, ideally, exchange best practices and experiences. So it's always good to share information when you have the same, let's say, problematics and challenges. It is also required to set up a web platform with tips and tricks to support future EU projects that would be based on the experience gathered from this first, let's say, generation of pilot. And finally, we expect a publication to support effective interdisciplinary practices, also based on this first generation experiences, but this can also be fed with other, let's say, feedbacks. On the deliverables from the 8 SR pilot topics, we expect reports. Those reports are very important for the project itself, for you to put on the table where you are, to map your activities, and to project future directions. It's so useful for the monitoring of the pilot. It's also useful for the commission. So it's not extra administrative step, but it's really key for the best outcomes of the project. So a first report is expected within the first 6 months of the project, and final report is expected within the last 3 months of the project. I won't go into the reading here because this is the text that is already included in the instructions. And then I will almost finish on the summary of key points, saying that it is important to understand that social readiness should not be seen as a penalization. It is the opposite. So it should foster trust and legitimacy from the involved actors to generate more impactful outcomes. For it to be successful, it requires real ownership and commitment from all partners. This generates trust in the process and people potential. So if partners are not convinced or do not want to be involved in these discussions, this is not a good start. So it's not a tick box exercise. So you see that you need to address the proposal from different angle. It brings collaboration at all levels, and at the same time, it acknowledges the diverse array of our activities and communities that are funded by the Commission. Finally, there are no extra administrative complexity in the sense that the application form is the same. You just have 2 extra pages to address social readiness. The complexity is more in the in how to design the content of the proposal. There's no duplication with existing standards, and the process was fully transparent from the very beginning. A few words on what's coming next, because now we are already advanced in the work 155 and we are looking at 2026, 2027. You might already be aware of the draft work program, which is public, and you can see the link in the slides. I'm sure you already have it. And we foresee 3 social readiness value topics. You see the titles here. One is in the area of energy system, grid and storage, one in the area of CCUS, and one in the area of multimodal transport. about the improvement of the pilot, of course, as I said, we're trying to improve the pilot in the next iteration. This would this will be based on the evaluation process, the proposal evaluations, feedback from the applicants, and the evaluation of monitoring CSA. Also, this is about the last Cluster5 Info Day that took place on 6th May. There was a full session on the social readiness pilot, which lasted 1 hour, so I could say more information. It's a bit more complete, and there are also the questions from the applicant from the audience in the room, so that can also be useful to look at it again, just explain here how you get to the recordings and the slides. So please don't hesitate to look at it in case you didn't have the chance to do so before. And with regard to the topics that are in the funding and tender portal, on 2025 topics, there are also Q&A that are related to social readiness questions. So don't forget to have a look. On the contacts and resources, you have an email of contact in case you have urgent questions on social readiness. And I also invite you to look at those resources. The Social Readiness Think Tool, which is an online tool stemming from European project, and the reports, national reports, the Engaged Research Report and Disciplinary Collaboration Report from Ireland and the Netherlands. They offer like concrete methodology to address social readiness. And so this can be a good starting point in case you have no clue to start with proposals. So read it and have a look to it. So now this is the end of my presentation, and I'm happy to receive the questions, and maybe I'll get back to Maria.
Thank you very much, Elena. That was perfect and a very nice, concise, presentation of the rather complicated and still rather unknown material. Thank you very much. Now, there is a question: how will evaluators be briefed to evaluate this aspect in the proposals?
Yes, so evaluators will receive the same information as the one that was that is provided to you. So everybody will start from the same basis. They will be informed about the instructions, and they will have a presentation the same as I did to applicants. So the starting point will be the same. Everybody will have the same information that will be there by the specificities of the pilot.
Well, this is my own question. The point behind this pilot is clear. Hopefully, it will focus applicants more on what is really needed by the society, and not to do things which will, seem to be like science fiction, and people don't really get the point all about it. So what may happen so that Commission will give up this approach? What could be the negative outcome? Because all the points look very clear, and all this, the idea behind this reporting, you know where you are, and then you report on, what came out of all it. Is there a possibility of a negative outcome that Commission will give it up?
Everything is possible, because now it's innovative, let's say, activity here, and everything is possible. So of course, if it's total disaster, we won't continue. It is possible that we also rethink the model totally, but ideally people will play the game, and we will be able to, from our starting point here, do iterations that improve the current format, so that there are no implementation issues, but we don't know what it will be. So yeah, everything is possible here.
But anyway, with all this, this CHA following their projects, implementing societal readiness, so you are ready to be flexible and really develop a very well-working system based on the outcome. What is the future vision? If the pilot is really successful, will it become a must in all clusters? Because actually, especially those working on technological issues, they could all actually look deeper into it.
So if it's very successful, it will be expanded. And as regards the use in other clusters, this depends on each cluster's decision. So it's the program committee, the respective configuration of the program committee that decides whether it wants to implement it. But indeed, the cluster 5 is a bit the guinea pig here, and if it's successful, there are chances that it's that's part of the clusters.
Okay, that is a question. One more question. How will the evaluators be chosen? Will they have interdisciplinary backgrounds?
Yeah, they will be chosen based on the needs of the topic. They might have less interdisciplinary background. They should be able to have a to be appropriate for assessing the projects. This is work that is performed by the executive agency SMEs to look for the evaluators, and they are looking for the right profiles.
One more question. Until now, we have SSH and MAA in many calls. In how far are these aspects different from societal readiness pilot?
Yes, so the societal readiness pilot is, I would say, one step forward than the standard SSH integration. I'm not talking about the MAA because this is more for cluster 6. That's slightly different, I would say. But the main difference between the SSH standard topics and the SR pilot is the innovative interdisciplinary approach, in the sense that social needs and concerns are intrinsically embedded in R&I activities through the proposal structure, the project activities implementation, and the partners interaction. This is not as much as strong as that in let's say standard SSH topics. It also integrates the social dimension at each step of project life. So it's intended to give directionality, purpose, and a holistic vision to each of the consortium partners. And in the case of the SR pilots, the social experts that steer the social readiness work, they have their voices heard, in the sense that they are considered at the same footing as technical partners, which is not the case necessarily in SSH topics. The activities take a more prominent place in the proposals. And the last point is that partners are owners of their research, of their societal readiness. They have to reflect internally and define themselves the most relevant issues to be looked at. So it requires a real deep internal reflection to come up with a specific solution that is not guided by the Commission.
So are there any questions from the audience?
I just want to add that
yes, please.
Yes, in case there are some people here that did prepare a proposal on SR pilot topic, I would be very curious to get feedback on how it went. So if you want to share your experience, it's very welcome.
Thank you very much, Elena. Thank you. Thanks for your time, and thanks for your very clear answers to the questions which you can never predict, and you managed perfectly well. So it has all been excellent. And please send me your slides as well, because we will share the slides with those who came and participated. Thank you very much.
Thanks a year. Bye.
Please now, Kimberly, if the floor is yours. So we will continue now on social sciences and humanities and the roles of specialists in this field.
Okay, hello, good morning. Let me just share my slides. Let me see how I can do this. One moment. Okay. So now I'm going to switch to full mode. You see my presentation in full presentation mode? No, not yet?
No, not yet.
I don't understand why it's doing this. Okay. Give me a second. Okay. Oops. I did not want that. Sorry, I cannot see Teams, so that's why I need to see how I can do this.
Is it okay if I share my screen and you just
that is fine.
Me
yes, I think that's better, so that we don't have to
yeah.
waste time. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, okay.
All right, great. Thank you. I can see it. So good morning, everybody. My name is Kimberly Kufsen-Liebe, and I am from the Net for Society project. For those who are perhaps not familiar with my project, we are the national contact point project in Horizon Europe for all national contact points in Cluster 2, Culture, Creativity, and Inclusive Societies, which is essentially the social sciences and humanities dedicated research area of Horizon Europe. And with my presentation today, I would just like to talk to you a little bit about the role in which social sciences and humanities research expertise can play in projects within other programming areas within Horizon Europe, and in particular Cluster 5. Just to give a little bit of background, like with many of the other approaches which the Commission asks for, such as multi-actor approach, the inclusion of social sciences and humanities expertise in many projects is mandated legally within the program. It is rooted in the current regulation for the Horizon Europe program. As you can see here, there are specific references within the regulation which state that in order to have a fuller sense of the sort of issues facing European society and to develop solutions to help counter those issues, the Commission foresees the inclusion of social sciences and humanities research in funded projects. And in particular, they want to see, and they are fostering with this program, the application of inter or multidisciplinary research approaches. And in particular, research approaches that require collaboration between the social sciences and the STEM disciplines. Next slide, please. This is further echoed in the Horizon Europe strategic plan. It was featured both in the first version of the plan, as well as in the second version, which is, or I should say, for the second half of Horizon Europe 2025 to 2027. And in particular, it is even more strongly and clearly stated in the current strategic plan how this should look. I'm not going to read this particular excerpt, but this is just something that you should be aware of, that the inclusion of interdisciplinary research approaches, in particular those that are incorporating social science and humanities expertise, is highly valued by the Commission and also expected in many instances. Next slide, please. This is just a really brief overview to give you an idea of where you would encounter what is known as SSH integration, which I'll explain in just a moment, within the Horizon Europe program. Primarily, you will see requests for this sort of research approach in Pillar 2. It is incorporated in all of the thematic clusters which make up Pillar 2, as well as all of the missions and the New European Bauhaus initiative, but is also a very strong component of the widening programming area, as well as the excellent science pillar. Next slide, please. So for those of you who may not yet know what SSH integration means, it's nothing more really than a technical term which the Commission, as well as OECD, uses in order to reference a very specific type of research collaboration. And this is a collaboration that is interdisciplinary in nature, not just multidisciplinary, but interdisciplinary. And I'll explain the difference in just a moment. It is a collaboration which is based on interactions between disciplines from the social sciences and humanities, as well as those from the science, technology, engineering, and mathematical disciplines. And it is really a coming together of thematic specialties and methodological approaches, because there are differences within both the social sciences and humanities, as well as the STEM disciplines in terms of the methodologies they apply and the foci that the research have. Next slide, please. So as indicated, there are clear legal reasons why, as indicated by the founding documents of, or the establishing documents of Horizon Europe, but more specifically, the reason the Commission asks for the inclusion of social scientific and humanities research expertise is because Horizon Europe is really trying to focus on the human being, the individual. It's not just about developing more technological approaches, coming up with the next technological device or service, but it's really trying to understand the place that these outputs from the more innovation and technologically oriented projects that are funded in the program have in society, in a person, and in a user's life. It's making sure that it's coming up with better solutions, not just the same old, same old. It's about moving beyond a monodisciplinary understanding of an issue and trying to bring in new insights and knowledge to help make society better, stronger, more effective, these sort of things. And to echo what Elena just said in her presentation, what's really important when it comes to these types of collaboration is that the research partners coming from the social science and humanities are not add-ons. That means that they are full-fledged partners, they are seen as equals, they are valued for what they bring on a professional level, and they are involved from the very beginning in helping to design a program, a project's research agenda, the sort of questions that are going to be addressed in relation to the specific issue to be researched, and in understanding, you know, maybe the form that those questions should take on. Next slide, please. So now I want to talk a little bit about impact, and in particular, the role that social sciences and humanities experts can the role that they play in relation to the idea of impact. As many of you know, Horizon Europe is a very impact-oriented research program, research and innovation program, and that there are essentially three specific types of impact that the Commission hopes to achieve by the end of the program: scientific, societal, as well as technological and/or economic. Incorporating social sciences and humanities, insights, expertise, methods, approaches, however you want to frame it, into projects, for example, in Cluster 5, is really helpful because they can help to build a bridge to better understand what is, say, maybe sociological or societally important or relevant when it comes to the actual development of a prototype or design of a product or something like that. The social sciences are really great, and the humanities as well, excuse me, let me not mention them, because of the way in which they think. They can really help to comprehensively think about the implications that the outputs or the overall approach taken by a research project will have on various groups in society, so to say the end users. They can really help bring in critical perspective to things and maybe help highlight the blind spots. This is not to say that projects would necessarily be wrong in their approach, but they're just things that within your own field of vision, so to say, you cannot see. And so it's very helpful to have partners involved who really think about things like fit and things about acceptance and things about, you know, how is this going to have a broader impact, you know, in terms of age or sex, etc. And then lastly, and maybe more practically, it's the idea that the insights, the knowledge, the approaches, the methods that can be suggested by and carried through by the partners coming from social sciences, humanities within projects, they can make sure that your project is actually going to be really successful, because it will take into the question of, so adequateness, you know, is it really meeting needs the way you think, or are you off? And so it can really help feed into, for example, in relation to the SR pilot, this sort of iterative, this sort of, you know, constantly having to think about things approach. So, and it has a lot to do with really just understanding more broadly the conditions under which research should be carried out. Next slide, please. And the last point I want to say in relation to impact is the fact that the social sciences and humanities, and taking this sort of interdisciplinary approach, can really support the generation of completely new knowledge. That's really the value of interdisciplinary research approaches, whatever form they may take. But when it comes to social scientists and humanities and STEM research collaboration, it's really helping to question the established ways of doing things and thinking, and it's also bringing in new sort of epistemological viewpoints and helping to even develop a completely new epistemology for understanding. You know, the basis for which we understand something can be completely new based on this type of collaboration. Next slide, please. I think for many, I don't need to really go through this slide specifically, but this is just to indicate the sort of disciplines within the social sciences and humanities, which the Commission works with in terms of what they consider to be social sciences and humanities disciplines. This is not an exhaustive list, but it is a good one, and it can be found in the Horizon Europe program guide. Next slide, please. Okay, so turning to the question of SSH research in Cluster 5. As you know, this particular cluster has a very specific sort of objective, which is to accelerate the twin and digital green transitions in light of climate neutrality and European competitiveness, you know, to boost that competitiveness. And it actually is in itself a rather SSH oriented, I guess you could say, programming area, because a lot of the topics require thinking about and questioning things like governance and, you know, the role of institutions, what sort of sociocultural factors are going to impact, you know, the research that needs to be done, thinking about everything in relation to sort of just sustainable transitions, and really the impact that this sort of technological change is ultimately going to have on regions and stakeholders. When you're looking at Cluster 5, the research opportunities here take two main forms. Those would be what are called SSH flag topics, and also the topics within the Societal Readiness Pilot, which are themselves a type of SSH flag topic. Next slide, please. Just to give you an example, I have taken the particular topic within the Societal Readiness Pilot, fostering equity and justice in climate policies, which I see a number of you are actually planning to apply to talk about the specific sort of SSH, social sciences and humanities aspects, which are required in order to successfully achieve, or I should say contribute to, the sort of outcomes that this topic is asking for. On this particular slide, I have listed the outcomes, and I have highlighted really the SSH research aspects, the components where you should really have partners from social sciences and humanities disciplines involved, because they are the ones who really would understand what is being asked for. So in this particular case, it's all about justice. It's all about making things equitable and inclusive in relation to the Paris Agreement, climate agreement, because obviously there has been quite a bit of discussion since this agreement was formally established, that say countries in the global south or smaller countries are not being treated in the same way as the more powerful countries in the global north or in the west, for example. And so this topic is really asking for projects to look into how to improve the relationships that are basically required between the two partners, to make sure that one is not benefiting more or suffering more as a result of the activities of the other. It also is very much about helping to shape policy. It's about having to understand, okay, what more is needed to understand justice when it comes to climate change? What more is needed to understand what makes peoples or groups or regions equitable, that sort of things. And so what it's asking for is to really look into various needs, values, concerns of various different groups and various different regions in these broadly defined areas of global north and global south, in order to come up with a better European approach to this particular policy area. And I have highlighted the expected outcomes from this topic because you see a lot of the aspects already listed here. Next slide, please. And this is in conjunction with, not in contrast to, but in conjunction with what is written in the actual scope of the topic. This is just an excerpt because it's a rather long topic, but once again, what I wanted to point out is that you can see in the topic scope an echoing of those same sort of research components that the social sciences and humanities should be looking for. So this is a good way. It will not always be highlighted. I simply did that, but when you see things like power structures, values, words like legal frameworks, political economy, age or gender, intersectionality, these are all keywords which indicate, oh, social sciences or humanities are needed here in order to understand and get to the root of the problem of this particular topic and what it's asking for. Next slide, please. So on this last slide, what I have done is basically go through the outcomes listed for this topic, and I have sort of paired it with the type of disciplines coming from the social sciences and humanities, which would be very, very relevant to have as partners in order to address some of these issues. So in the case of the very first one, facilitating acceptance across political and societal stakeholders with various socioeconomic and development status, it would be very useful to have partners that regularly focus on issues such as acceptance. Who does that? Fields like psychology, you could look at behavioral psychology or cognitive psychology, anthropology, cultural studies, sociology, and those looking at socioeconomic issues or development. Obviously, economics comes to mind, but then you can also find experts within social geography, area studies. When we think about this issue of needs, values, and concerns of the various social groups, once again, the same sort of actors crop up because these are research topics that these particular fields deal with very, very frequently. And if you're thinking about, for example, this notion of intersectionality as it relates to the topic, intersectionality is a term that is very, very closely tied to identity studies. Identity studies are a key component of many social sciences and humanities fields, ranging from gender studies and literature. Don't forget the humanities. Literature, that's a really big part of the approach that many take in order when we're thinking about fiction or we're thinking about future worlds or future possibilities. So I'm not going to go through all the points, but this is just to give you an idea of how you can think about reading these topics. If you're a social sciences or humanities expert yourself, how you can locate yourself within these topics. And if you are coming from, say, a STEM background and you're a PI of a project, how you can understand who you might need to reach out to and talk to. So next slide, please. So with my last slide, I just wanted to talk about where you can, in fact, find these topics. Of course, you can go to the European Commission's Funding and Tenders Opportunity portal and look for the SSH flag topics there. You can use their various drop-down menus in order to filter and find these topics, because all SSH flag topics that require the inclusion of social sciences and humanities expertise and experts are included in the portal. But what you can also do is make use of a document which is regularly produced by Net for Society. It is known as the Opportunities for Researchers from the Social Sciences and Humanities in Horizon Europe. Shorthand is the Opportunities document, where we cover all of the flag topics listed in the portal, but we go beyond. It also talks about opportunities in other programming areas. It is not covering the entire program, but where most relevant. It is broken down by keywords in terms of the sort of expertise which is required. And it is also giving you an idea of how strong of a relevance or a role SSH could have. So it's really ranked from very strong to, say, minor relevance. But this is an overview of all opportunities in the current work program. There will be an additional document produced for the upcoming work program, 2026-27. That is in the works, but that will appear once the official work programs have been released. So on that note, I am at the end of my presentation. I'm really happy to take any questions that you have. I wasn't able to go into every specific detail of SSH integration, but if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them now.
So any questions from the audience? If not at this point, then I will invite my colleague Kola from Iceland to come in with a surprise for you before the last presentation. Kola, will you say a few words?
Maria, shall we all connect to the Menti?
Kola, we can't hear you. Your mic is off.
Oh my God, I've been talking endlessly. Oh my God. Okay. Yes, and I just want to share with you a couple of questions because we cannot see your faces, but we really want to hear your experiences and react to your requests. So thanks for connecting. I can see we have 38 people and 39. So I'm just going to start with the first question. So overall, how satisfied were you with the event? Now it's popping in. We got 29. Good. It stopped. Okay, thank you for this. That's the next one is here. Please rate your satisfaction level with the following aspect of our events. So you go from 0 to, it actually goes to 5 though. So date and time. Is this too early maybe? Is it too long? How was the topic of the webinar? Was the pace okay? And yeah, and just the general like speakers. Yeah, it seems we are mostly happy with the time and the topic is really good. Was very relevant, was really good presentations. Okay. 27, 28, and 29 again. So is there something that you felt that could have been better, or was something missing from this training session? This is an open textbook, so you can write anything you want. The sound was bad. Okay, we can fix that probably. We can test that one better. Practical examples. Better sound in the first part. Okay. Yeah, we will send the slides. We will do that straight after the event. Yeah. Presentation sent in advance. Yeah, that might be a thing that we can look at. I like that suggestion actually. More targeted to the 8 topics. Okay. Yeah. There should be more practical proposal process. Yes. Okay. We can definitely look into that. We could possibly make a fact sheet or some sort of an annotated template maybe. The sound, you're waiting on an update. Okay, examples. Yeah, I like this. This is really good. Thanks for this. Yeah, I'm gonna switch to next one again. The 25. So this is what was the most important thing you learned? What did you like the most, and what did you think was the most interesting? This is the second final one. Oh. I'm not getting any replies. Oh, I hope you guys are just writing something. Yep. Research to find this the importance of it. Kimberly presentation. That was really good. SSH is valued by the commission. Yeah. Societal readiness pilot approach. Opportunities document prepare. Yes, definitely check out the website, Net for Society. There's a lot of documents there. Okay. These are all really good. Mm-hmm. I would like a simple roadmap. My dear colleagues, research design. Okay, I'm gonna change to this one. Do you have any suggestions for us to do some improvements for future events? And this is the second final question. There's one more, and it's just if you have some topics that you want us to address, but if you have any suggestion for us to improve any future events, you can see them now. More frequent, yeah, we can look into that one. I'm not going to hold this for too long. Okay, so if you have any topic that you want to see us address, please share it now, and then I'm going to give the floor to Louise. More examples, yeah. Practical example, yeah, it's always good. Yeah. Co-creation methods. Okay. SSH evaluated and cluster 5. These are all really good. I think this is it for now, and thank you guys for sharing. And yeah, I didn't even turn on my camera. I'm sorry, guys. So Louise, can you share your screen?
Come in, please.
Yes. And I'm sorry about the microphone.
Thank you, Kola. Thank you, Kola.
Yes.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to share my screen and tell you a little bit more about GREENET and the tools that we have available for you within the program, the project that you might find useful for other purposes as well. So this is not focused on the societal readiness or the SSH parts, but really more a little bit about GREENET as a project and how else we might be able to help you as the National Contact Point Team project. So we have a number of tools. We have a specific toolbox. When you get this slide, these links will take you through to the specific tools within the toolbox. So we have a partner search tool, very useful, and this is using the standard B2 match. We have a stakeholder directory, which you can then use to search to find out who are the critical organizations that you want to be engaging with. We have a strategic deposit document repository, which is based on the stakeholder directory. So we've got too many S's going on there, stakes and strakes. So the document repository, which has our number of documents, and we have some fact sheets. I'll just quickly explain each of these in turn. So the partner search I mentioned, this is using the B2 match. This is a curated system, which means that when you apply to go on here, when you log in or you register and you create your profile, one of the National Contact Point team will approve or otherwise your profile. And we do this deliberately to try to ensure that we're really focusing on research and innovation organisations. This is not for commercial connections. So we really want to ensure that we get good quality research and innovation organisations seeking partners for Horizon Europe, for Cluster 5 in particular. And so if you were to register in here, and don't forget to look at these particular tabs around the how it works and things like that, and you can actually then meet people seeking partners for projects that you want to do as well. So we have a stakeholder directory which allows you to connect and find out more about the organisations who are underpinning some of the work behind production of the work programme, or the other parts of the programme as well, and who's shaping and leading and directing, and how you might be able to get involved with those. So there's a whole host of different types of organisations. And for example, if we take the European Technology and Innovation Platforms, collectively known as ETIPS, yet another FLA, four-letter acronym. If I go through, we've got, for example, a whole host of ETIPS. How on earth does a newcomer to Horizon Europe or to Cluster 5 understand this alphabet soup? You know, so this is where this particular stakeholder directory comes in to help you understand, who are these guys? Which are the ones that I need to be working with? Which ones do your the rest of your consortia potentially, or your networks and your colleagues? So you see in the stakeholder directory here, we've got 198 different organisations listed, and you can search for these in lots of different ways. You can see the top of the screen here, because it's just a screenshot. You can see that you can select by whether these are followers or influencers of the work programme. So if they are followers, they're just really just, you know, paying attention to what comes out of the work programme, but they're not having a direct influence on the content of it, whereas influencers clearly are. So this will be primarily people like the co-programmed partnerships or the technology platforms, the ETIPS. But you can also filter by what type of organisation you're looking for, or what sector or subsector. For example, if you're interested in the automotive sector, you can scroll down through mobility and then automotive. And of course, you can also filter by the Cluster 5 destination, or the mission that you might be interested in, or the joint undertaking. So it is geared around those organisations that the Cluster 5 community would be interested in. You can also search by keywords, so you can type in things like wind or solar if that's your specific interest, and then it will give you a list of the specific organisations, a little description of them, and a link to connect directly to them. Related to the stakeholder directory is a document repository. So all of the key documents from the stakeholders are available directly from the stakeholder directory. For each, so if you can go into the stakeholder directory and you find a particular organisation, a particular co-programmed partnership, then when you get to that page, you will see the documents related to that partnership. Or you can actually filter and search this document repository directly. And you can see this is a screenshot of the top here. We've got 895 documents in the repository. And these are things like the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda, or position papers, white papers, those sorts of things. There's also regulations, strategic bodies. There's all the types of documents you would think that you would need to read through the background of before you're putting your proposal together. And that's why you can filter and search to, we don't want you to have to wade through 895 documents. You can search for the ones that are actually applicable to your part of the programme. We have some fact sheets. So the fact sheets are descriptive of things like some of the partnerships, but also some of the other funding opportunities and guides. So the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, the EIT, has a number of relevant organisations. You'll find fact sheets on those. You'll find a fact sheet on SSH. Not yet one on the societal readiness. We're thinking about putting one of those together right now as we speak. So the fact sheets, again, you can scan on the QR code, and that would take you directly through to the repository, the library of different fact sheets that you might find quite useful, including one recently added on how to build consortium to find the right partners for your consortium. So that was just a quick run through of the sorts of tools that we've got to help you in the wider GREENET arena. So please do, if you have any questions about what else do you think GREENET ought to be doing with a tool set, or any questions about how to use the things that we've gone through already. Thanks.
Thank you, Louise. Please come out with questions, and we still have a few minutes left, so you can even come in with an oral question if you want. Please raise your hand and open your mic and ask. And if you now have questions to previous speakers, you can also come in with them. Seems people are full of information. Need some time for digestion. Thank you very much, Louise. Thank you very much, Kimberly. Thank you very much, Elena. Sorry we failed to meet one key performance indicator, which is gender balance, but I hope you are happy with the invited speakers, with the quality and their expertise, and you learned a lot, and we will be working hard on processing the recording and uploading it and uploading the slides. So don't worry, you will get all of them. And I would especially like to congratulate those brave ones who managed to stay till the end. So looking forward to meet you at our next webinars. We will inform you in time, and thanks for those who suggested topics for the webinars. This is the most valuable input we can get from you, because we really want to do things that you need and that might be helpful for you, motivate you, encourage you. So if there is no other questions and no problems, and you are happy with what you heard, then please send us your feedback. Well, you got the invitation, you can send us a feedback also by email. And the more feedback we get from the target groups, the better is the work we do. Thank you very much. Enjoy the day and be successful.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.